I now call to order the regular board meeting of the Park Ridge Park District Board of Park Commissioners. It is Thursday, December 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Paulo Hassel O'Connor Community Building, 733 North Prospect Avenue, Park Ridge, Illinois. Let's stand for the pledge. Either the pledge or Oh Christmas Tree, whatever works. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, does anyone have anything to amend, add, or delete to the current agenda? Seeing none, is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
Hold on, I need to do roll call first.
Oh, oops, sorry. I got in a groove.
Sorry.
All right.
Commissioner Bundy?
Here.
Commissioner Bowe?
Here.
Commissioner Coyne? Commissioner Grau?
Here.
Commissioner Halting?
Here.
Commissioner Tunnell?
Here.
Commissioner Ledoux?
Here.
Thank you.
All right. So now, any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, Gail, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. In the packet is the documents that I brought to the board last time we had the discussion about the amendment, the resolution, and then a second amendment to the lease between the Park District and Historical Society. So I am looking for approval on that and happy to answer any further questions that the board may have thought of. In the meantime, I did speak to both Randy Deerfield, who I've been working with this on, and Cheryl Williams after our last meeting. I gave them a summary of what we discussed, so they were very appreciative that the board is, yeah, so it looked favorable and that they're very appreciative and you know they want to continue talks about all of the things that we talked about. So.
Great. Do any commissioners have any other comments or questions? Do you want before or after the motion? Oh, I was just going to ask for some of them.
I'm going to vote no just because I think they should get a break. So just in case anyone didn't hear the last meeting, that's why I'm voting no.
Okay. I'll make the motion then. I move to approve resolution number 22-3, a resolution approving the second amendment to the lease between Park Ridge Park District and Park Ridge Historical Society, Inc., and directing the execution and delivery thereof. Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Ann, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Bundy?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Coyne? Commissioner Grau?
No.
Commissioner Halting?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Ledoux?
Yes. All right. Gail, anything else?
No, that would be it. Thank you very much.
Great, in that case, it passes to Commissioner Bowe.
All right, and I will pass that over to Superintendent DeAngelis.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowe. So the next agenda item is discussion and direction on the 2023 proposed budget. We've broken down the items that we feel kind of are most major drivers in the budget, to make sure that the board is in agreement on what we've proposed. So the first section, A, is on expenses. So I did prepare a memo on page 9 of your board packet, and it explains in the first section what changes are incorporated into the budget and appropriation ordinance at this time based on the feedback from the last meeting. And the first item under expenses are those adjustments to date. And I think Gail wanted to talk about the sustainability
Yes.
initiatives.
Thank you, Sandra. So, you know, we had a lengthy discussion at, healthy discussion at the last meeting about the sustainability initiatives and staff and that dollar amount that we put in. So I went and spent some time and then subsequently Superintendent Wolf did as well, looking at, you know, doing some research on what else is out there What are other people doing? So, and you know, what are they paying people? What are the duties? We had a conversation about the duties that we thought, you know, the person should have, if either contractual or a staff member. We did not come up with a job description yet. We have one example that was sent to us by a city, Racine, Wisconsin. But, you know, some of the things that we talked about would be, you know, not just, you know, consultant versus staff. We've kind of come right now, and we haven't certainly, you know, come to the final conclusion on that, but, you know, that we feel it might be better to have a staff member versus a consultant, because a consultant is going to be, you know, as we discussed last time, project-based and initiative-based. And we feel like we need more of somebody guiding us as a whole district, you know, in the culture, in terms of, you know, a lot of what we talked about last time, you know, all throughout the district and not just specific to projects. The other thing is that with the projects, we have, you know, for example, Oakton, you know, we're starting to work on a proposed agreement with, you know, looking at agreement with White. They have specific staff, 30 experts, they're actually leaders and they get awards, right, and sustainability. So for that, you know, that person that we would have on staff, I would imagine, would be at all those, you know, those portions of the meetings. Kind of like IT, you know, we bring IT in when there's IT portions of the project. So they would be part of that whole process and work with us on that. Interestingly, the salaries that I could find, and this is just a Google search that I did, and we'll have, once we get to the point, we'll have Diane, you know, look at HR Source and see if there's any other, you know, official information and specific data we can find. But the salary was about, for a full-time person, was 60 to 80,000. That's what I was seeing out there. That was private and that was cities. Could not find any park district that had this kind of a position. So we broke it down to $29 an hour and starting at 20 hours a week as a going rate. And that makes about $60,000. So in addition, Terry sent something out to his group of counterparts and heard back from 11 of them, 10 of which were park districts, I believe, from this list, Terry, and one was a city.
Yep.
Only one had a dedicated staff, and that was the Racine, Wisconsin, the city of Racine, Wisconsin. And then two of them, Rosemont and Woodridge, have consultants. So that was the research that we've done to date. I'd like to still propose that we keep the $30,000 in there, start off with a part-time position, and if we don't get any takers, which could happen because this is a very specific type of a person and a role, then we would come back, or we would figure out a budget and I would let you know, and then we would go out for a full-time person if that's what the board wants to dedicate funds to. I just want to talk through that a little bit because I know there was a lot of questions and different ways we could go with that. So I'm open to, Terry and I are open for questions on that, if you have any.
It's fabulous. I think internal will get more meaningful work and cheaper, hopefully.
Let's hope.
And, yeah, and I was wondering if White would charge extra for those kind of services?
We haven't gotten there yet. I'm not quite sure, but.
Sometimes it depends on how
Yeah,
deep you want to go with it.
exactly,
Like, I mean,
right.
if we're looking at lead, obviously, at
Yeah.
any level. then
We
why
don't
you
have the
charge
money
extra?
for
But I don't think
leads.
we do with
Right.
leads,
So
so-
let's not go
Yeah.
there.
But just
If we're talking about a
sustainability
solar roof, I mean, that, no, I would feel like that's part of the general evaluation,
Right.
and part of our regular meetings, so. But we will ask them that when we're working on the contract.
I think this is really exciting. That was my best meeting I've had ever.
Yeah.
Just, you guys listen to, you know, to what I've been trying to say for years, and it finally makes sense of how to go about this.
Yeah.
So,
It's, like I said, you know, and I still say that, this is not something that is a tried and true in park districts, clearly, from what we're seeing. But, you know, we understand that it is the, you know, the latest thing, and we know that we have to do more. So I feel like it's a good start, and we'll see where it goes.
I've got a lot of my counterparts are now interested in watching to see
What
where this
we
goes.
do?
Because,
Right.
I mean,
That's
they all
cool.
they all thought it was interesting, but they're all doing the same thing that we're doing, and we had some discussions about how it's not the best, and it's challenging. And most often, we're working with, a vendor that's working directly with trying to get their hands on the ComEd rebates, and so they're reaching out to you to just do that one thing.
Right.
And sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't, but it's very project-based and financially driven, whereas what Gail and I talked about with the staff is it doesn't always have to be a financially driven initiative. It could be something different, like continuing to expand the reduction of our, use of gas vehicles or power tools or things like that, so.
I think we were one of the first park districts to go pesticide-free also.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So-
right.
And it worked
So
out.
there's nothing wrong with being the first, it's just a little bumpy getting there, I think, because it's like, it's not something that, like I said, part of our like day-to-day, like immediate business needs that the staff is feeling pressure about, right? So this is something that's, we think we should be doing more of, but it's like, who's gonna do it? And it always gets to that, that part of the
Right.
project, so.
It would be good when you have a job description to share it, because there's probably. some-
People in the community, that's what we said,
People
if we could find somebody in the community that's, willing to do it, it could be, flexibility in terms of home, being at home a lot of the times. It would be a really nice thing to get a community member, somebody close, close by.
But does it make any sense to look at existing positions that you have in the park district and add this, and I'm not saying a particular person
Mhm.
in mind, but a particular position, and expand the role of that particular position to include the sustainability part of it?
We talked about that.
So that, whatever else they, so it's a broadening of
Mhm.
a particular,
So, I get what
Some-
you're going at.
Yeah.
someone,
It's kind of already there.
right.
It, maybe in pencil, not in ink, and it's still, the problem is that those, I don't have anybody on my team that has extra time just sitting around like, oh, what should I do now?
Understood.
So that's where it becomes a challenge, but we
Right.
did kind of look at it.
But
from
yeah,
that perspective.
but I wonder if it isn't more economical perhaps to realign sort of what those job roles are so that you might still have to hire somebody additional, but they're doing more than just, I shouldn't say just, I don't want to diminish it, but
Sustainability.
they have other things on their task too.
Wow.
That would be synergetic sort of with the sustainability part.
Yes, we
So I
thought
think
of
it would be some of the buildings and grounds,
Yeah.
but I don't know necessarily if that's.
We talked about grants in general, because that falls that's another thing that just gets pieced out, and Jennifer Meunier gets, ends up with a lot of it. And with all the projects we have going on, it certainly would be nice to have somebody, and we were planning on this person reporting to her. Not sure she knows that yet, but.
I had discussed, after we talked, I said.
I was gonna say I'll be in the
just
minutes, but, that's something, especially if we had to, that we weren't successful in finding the right person, that we had to make it a full-time job, that might be something that we would add on there, as grants in general, right? And not just sustainability. However, and
Well, that's the other
an
side of
opinion
the
on
coin, I
that,
suppose.
it's a certain kind of person as
Yeah.
well, with a certain kind of experience. I don't know, so
There's
Yeah.
some trial and error because we're.
But I think if you could,
independently
yeah, I mean, the other
separate
side is you hire
businesses.
someone with this expertise and you find some things that you could maybe take away from your overworked
exactly.
staff and
Yeah.
put that into that same job
Yeah.
description. And I don't want to be, I'm not here to micromanage
Right.
how you do that, I just want
No,
to
we've
know.
thought it through, but we
Okay.
will certainly take another look before we do any kind of hiring, because that's why we're asking for all those other positions, right? Because nobody has the time to do something like this, so, at this point.
Really appreciate you asking around, and I also have Googled around, and it's, the city of Chicago has.
Oh, they did, yeah, like-
The Chicago Park District has.
Environmental something, but I
It
didn't,
has like an office, I've been
Yeah.
meaning to ask the city sustainability coordinator who the right person is in the park district, granted, they're much bigger.
And it's a
We
city,
are. It's kind of a
right.
different thing.
Well,
So
we talked
the
about-
salary, I agree, it's better to have someone internally, someone who can like integrate themselves into the organization. And when you said going out for part-time, I'm like, oh, that might be kind of hard.
It
But
might
then
be
at the
hard.
same time, there are plenty of people who take time off to
Mhm.
deal with kids.
That's what we
And
would talk
this
about.
might be like a super fun gig.
Mhm.
Had I married richer, this might have been very
We won't put that in the minutes.
But I have to keep on slinging the paper for the federal government. The grants and the sustainability would make sense if there was ever enough to have
Right.
someone to do both. And it was Rosemont, and what was the other park district?
Woodridge.
Rosemont kind of surprises.
Yeah, that seemed,
That's
Terry didn't, I didn't have time to talk, did you
Uh,
talk to that person?
It was Karen. She replied back and said that they use the same person that the village uses.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And so they
In
just.
Rosemont, or
In
Rosemont has a sustainability?
No, they use a consultant.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah, the only person that has a
Who really
dedicated
kind?
staff is Racine, Wisconsin, and we got
I
that,
can-
someone in another park district actually came across that, and they said, we're not aware of anybody doing this other than Racine, Wisconsin, they have this job description.
I can get job descriptions. Evanston has a sustainability coordinator.
Sure.
The city,
Park, they're all cities. I'm sure there's a park district somewhere, but not around here,
Right,
I don't
right.
think. So
Yeah, it
Sally-
seemed more of the cities had people,
Yeah.
and because they're more broad in terms of what they're able, you know what I mean, they've got a lot more.
in some cities, like an assistant village manager does it.
Yeah.
You have that sort of position,
Right.
or it's part of public works or the planning.
Yeah, I think if it,
So
if
for
and
us,
when-
buildings and grounds would make sense. or-
Yeah, but if and when it goes
Yeah.
to full-time, I think we would relook at, you know, where does this fit and what, you know.
But
person.
I appreciate you asking around. I can help with the job description. I would even love to help interview the person if you do interviews.
We don't usually get commissioners involved in hiring, but, you know,
Or-
just to throw that
Or
out.
you can, that's right, it's probably against the rules.
Yeah.
Better than warning against the rules.
We will
Anyway.
run, I mean, if we have a tough decision, I'm sure we would love to run it by you.
Yeah, so, and I can also help spread the word to different, different sustainability networks that I'm involved in. There might be somebody.
Yeah,
This is
Right.
just what they need right now, and then they would maybe want to do it for a while and
Mhm.
then grow into a part-time or
yeah,
a
see- we could see
full-time
how it goes.
position.
So that was that
Yeah,
portion of the response. yeah.
So I just have a question. Would it then make sense for me to move this from contractual services to?
Yes.
just salaries.
Yeah.
Salaries?
Yes.
So that will.
Change,
That will change the budget appropriation ordinance
yes.
in the corporate fund.
Yeah.
What will happen is we'll move 30,000 from contractual services to salaries and wages in the corporate fund.
And some trade associations, and again, I only know things from like industry and other places, have, like IPRA would have a consultant who could like be on call or whatever that members could use as they need it. Like that's another model that I've seen where organizations are able to share someone. I'm just mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, we
this
thought
aside.
about the city.
I think having somebody in-house would be great, but, and of course, I've always had my dream of us sharing someone with the city of
Yeah,
Oak
we
Ridge.
talked about that.
We're ahead.
Huh?
We're ahead of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was looking, I mean, I read the whole, you know, their information on their website as well, and it's really just a sustainability plan, right? I mean, I didn't see anything else.
They're running into some headwinds
Yeah.
on that, so we're probably a little bit ahead of them.
Right. So that's what I had on those items. If there's any other questions, Sandra, you want to?
Yeah, I guess I would just say then, can we get consensus from the board that we're okay with those adjustments with the change that we just described? And are there any other items?
Yeah, not contractual services. Right?
Right.
Right, it would be
Yeah,
salaries.
that's the
and
change.
wages.
Yeah.
Does anybody, hasn't spoken, anybody comments on that? Like, I'm definitely in favor of it for the, you know, all of the reasons previously laid out by staff and my fellow commissioners. And I do like the idea of somebody who's dedicated to that task, because I think that's how you get the better person who actually where it doesn't get shoved to the bottom of the list, where it becomes a priority, and who actually knows, knows the industry lingo, knows about stuff that the average staff member, no matter how good they are, might not know just from not being in the industry.
And there are several sessions at the IPRA conference I saw on sustainability.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what tells me that's like the
I'm
new
gonna be,
next thing, right?
asking
Because
people.
they usually have a bunch of sessions on anything that everybody's confused about and needs more information. What'd you say?
I'm like, I'm gonna be talking to
This time
people.
it's for a cause.
Because she doesn't want to talk to people.
I think it's amazing you guys came up with the research on the limited amount of research that's out there in such a quick amount of time. And thank you for doing that, both of you. I think it's the responsible thing to do for the limited resources we have is to improve them and keep an eye on it. And I think just having someone that's in charge of that, I really commend you guys for thinking outside of the box, because I know it's not a normal in the org chart, like,
Right.
oh, we have this person that does this, and I think being creative, I think it makes sense to go from a consultant that is outside looking in versus someone inside that has more of a interest in the community. So I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing. So thank you. And thank you to Commissioner Grau for bringing this up for the last however many years. So, it's wonderful.
Okay, any other comments or issues on the adjustments to date? Or we're okay with that? We move on to A2, which is the compensation, which includes the new positions that we proposed and the merit increases for full and part-time that we presented.
Any comments? Concerns?
Okay, I'm hearing that those proposals should stay, and then the last expense category we have is the capital projects. As I outlined in the memo, we did add 20,000 to the capital fund for the additional community garden plots.
And just to be
Again,
clear,
another
Commissioner
good
Grau
addition.
did it. Sorry.
Again, another good addition, and thanks to
Oh,
Commissioner Brown.
stop.
And I did send, I just realized I just sent that to you, and I went against, it was just sent to everybody, but Commissioner Grau asked for a breakdown of the costs, and I sent that to her. It was 17,000, and I had asked Sandra just up it to 20, just make it an even 20. Just round it up, just in case. Obviously, we plan on spending 17, hopefully Interior put a contingency in there, so we should be good at 17, but I just wanted to make sure.
You never know, there could be a huge jump in the price of mulch, we don't know.
Right.
Too bad we can't just get the Christmas tree mulch,
Like our
right,
own-
from when the city collects all
Well, the
the.
city does put free mulch out there.
They do.
It's not excessive. The stuff we put down is excessive. It's not playground mulch.
Playground.
Yeah, because it rates as accessible routes, just like a playground is, but it's got to meet the ASTM standard for that. So it's specific wood chips that meets the ASTM standard.
Oh,
Wow,
it's for
we
between
learn
the
something
beds.
every day.
It's for between the
Standards for
beds.
mulch.
It's for between the beds, and that's where it is more expensive because it's engineered wood, it's considered engineered wood fiber, so.
Oh,
But you could traverse it with a wood chip. so.
thank you for explaining that.
That's good to know.
All right.
Any other comments on the proposed capital projects? Okay, hearing none. The next section, revenues, we talked about fees. We already, the board already made a determination on the tax levy. So we're just looking for your agreement that the proposed fees, as we outlined at our last meeting, that everyone is comfortable with that. Okay, thank you. With that, I will ask Commissioner Bowe to go forward with adopting the budget and appropriation ordinance in tentative form. Marion, do we need to say as amended because of the change?
I would say so.
For the ordinance
Yeah.
22-4. All right, so I move to adopt in tentative form ordinance number 22-4 amended as of the previous conversation, the combined annual budget and appropriations ordinance of the Park Ridge Park District and the Board of Park Commissioners of the Park Ridge Park District, Cook County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023. Is there a second? Second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, can we have a vote?
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Coin?
Aye.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Holting?
Yeah.
Commissioner Tunnell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the next, like just what's left and maybe review?
Sure. So the adoption of the budget appropriation ordinance in tentative form, thank you for approving that. It will now,
What?
I will,
I was talking to something.
I was just saying that the document that was just approved is the budget appropriation ordinance in tentative form. I will make that change to what was in your packet and deliver it to the library, the fitness center, and the main park. It will get posted on the website and be on this public display until our next, until January, the meeting in January, at which time we will hold a public hearing, and then you will approve the final. And then at the next board meeting, we will, so the board made its determination with the truth and taxation resolution at our last meeting. And at our next meeting, we will have the truth and taxation hearing. And then we will ask the board to adopt the tax levy ordinance. And the tax levy ordinance is a document that gets filed with the county and gives them the direction on how to extend the taxes. So, any questions on that? And then that has to get filed on last Tuesday, December.
And then the vote is in January, right? The final vote? On January 5th?
On the budget.
Budget, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I had one commissioner said that they're not going to be here, so we wanted to kind of get an idea if everybody's going to be here January 5th, and if not, we'd probably have to change that meeting. I don't know what the timing.
Because D64 is still on winter break.
On January 5th?
So even December 15th too, are we gonna have, do we have a quorum? I guess those 2 dates I'm looking for.
Yeah, December 15th, I guess, is everybody planning on being
Wait,
here?
that's not right, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it is. It's the first, yeah.
And
There's
then January 5th, are you saying they're still on break?
the third. Yep, D64 is on break that whole week.
So who, I guess, raise a hand, is planning them being here, if you know?
Not being here.
Being here,
Being
if
here?
January
Which
5th.
date?
January
January
5th.
5th. Okay, so we have enough then, if that's the case.
I think so.
Yeah.
And December 15th too, everybody is comfortable?
Great,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.
But I guess that's something where if something comes up, they get stuck somewhere from a blizzard, they need to let
Well, right.
us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Yes. If we're that close
Let's
to
hope
the
there's not a
market.
blizzard, but yes.
But you never
If
know.
there is, yes, you're right.
I know, I'm gonna get stuck now
I know.
on my little trip at the beginning of the week.
Great, thank you.
All right, then I will pass it over to Commissioner Coyne.
It's pretty straightforward, so I'm going to read the motion and then we can have a discussion on it. I move to adopt in tentative form ordinance number 22-4.
Actually, it's the
I'm reading the wrong
next one.
One of the things I forgot at home was my reading glasses. I move to adopt ordinance number 22-5, an ordinance authorizing the sale of used personal property owned by the Park Ridge Park District.
Second.
Okay, can we have a little briefing on what we're doing?
So the aquatics team found what they're describing as vintage life jackets in the wells of the fitness center while cleaning, so they're asking to dispose of those.
There's a market for vintage life jackets?
No, there's not.
It's just we have to follow.
With the historical
Yeah, the
society.
historical society.
Or maybe the textile recycling bin that's over by Main
Unless there's
Park.
some great change in technology, they have.
Trust us, we save what we can, like, you know.
I know, it was just, it said sale. It said sale, so I was like.
We're gonna
That's just the way it has to be, yeah.
Okay.
We're not selling them.
We're asking for your approval to dispose of
Please
those.
dispose of
Good, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's a very important thing, and the life jackets, cease, at least, they're still vests, but the life part of them probably is in question. Is there any other further discussion or questions about the disposal of the life vest?
No, it seems to be the practical thing to do.
Okay, could we please have a vote?
Commissioner Coin,
Aye.
Commissioner Grau,
Yes.
Commissioner Hulting,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnell,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bendy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Ledoux.
Yes.
By all that under things you never thought you'd vote on in your life.
Thank you, and I don't think we have anything else from Recreation, so I will turn the floor over to Commissioner Tom.
Thank you. We're reviewing on page 10 of the packet. No, I'm sorry, 22.
Yep.
I apologize, 22. We discussed this at the last meeting, and there was some work done behind the scenes. Thank you so much on your efforts on both
It's
both
pretty
of you.
simple.
Yeah, it was just a simple change, and you can kind of see where the item's been changed on page 22 of the packet. Is there any discussion or review, or anybody object to us changing this policy at this time?
So we just removed the number of people?
Yeah, basically, we removed the number because the next sentence covers what we really, the important part is, it says, the district will pay the commissioner's registration and official hotel and travel expenses where applicable and as budget permits. So I think that that's the key language, that if we felt we were in some sort of a situation where we couldn't send more than, we've never had usually more than 2. So I'm not seeing this as a big issue. If it became something where it was getting out of control and we thought, the board, it would be the board really saying that everybody shouldn't go, but we can come back and revisit it again. But it's not something that usually, you see, as Commissioner Bundy pointed out, there's several districts that have, more than 2, less than 2, all different numbers, because it is a very beneficial conference if you're able to attend portions of it or the whole thing. So.
And we do send people to lunch too, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And that invitation is forthcoming, or is that already out there?
No, we still have time for lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, we just have time.
I mean, are you going to invite everyone? Did I miss that, or?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Right.
Okay.
It's due, when's it due?
At the table, well, the students for weeks.
Yeah, she'll send it out.
I'll send it out.
Okay.
Now that this is being passed, I
Yeah.
can send it out.
Yeah.
I normally don't because normally only the 2 commissioners are allowed to, well, we actually do allow.
Yeah,
one or
sometimes
two.
more people go to lunch,
Yeah.
yeah.
So just so the new commissioners know that a lot of those state representatives go to the luncheon, so it's a schmoozing opportunity.
And we have not sent to, usually IPRA gives us a, like, invite your legislators or whatever. Laura Murphy typically sits with Grove or Science or somebody.
Yeah, but keep asking. I
We
give her
will.
a hard time about that.
Yeah, we'll,
She has almost all of her fridge now. so
I know,
she
and
needs
so
to be
does
able to-
Moylan. Right, so we will ask.
What
And
are the
I,
dates of that again?
January, the last weekend of
26th,
January.
26 to 28, is that right?
Yeah. 26 through 28.
Thank you.
Is the lunch on the 26th?
It's on the 27th, it's
It's
on
on
Friday.
Friday.
It's like a big, you know, banquet room thing.
Yeah, did they give awards and all that?
I'll zoom in from the flamingo.
Long, too long,
Bucket.
but it's very nice.
Thank you for the healthy discussion. Is there any other? I move to approve the amendment to section 110, professional and civic memberships of the Board of Commissioners, internal policies and bylaws manual as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Going once, going twice. Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Hulting?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowl?
Yes.
Commissioner Coin?
Aye.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Nice work.
Thank you. And now moving to the last page of your packet on page 23, if you haven't reviewed, these are the dates that are tentatively put together for the 2023 calendar. So I move to approve the 2023 calendar schedule of regular board meetings as presented. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And do we have any discussion on any of the dates, thoughts, concerns, or feedback?
When is St. Patrick's Day?
It's always March 17th.
March 17th.
It's not during spring break, is it, no?
No, it's not during the D64 spring break. Yeah, I mean, when I looked through it, the only date I was concerned about was the January 5th.
Is Easter the 9th?
Yeah.
Is that what
But I mean, Easter, like, doesn't usually correspond with spring break, and it was for Sunday, so.
Spring break's the end of March, right?
Yep.
Sounds like we're ready.
Okay, may we have a roll call vote?
Sure. Commissioner Hulting?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel?
Yes.
Commissioner Bendy?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Coin?
Aye.
Commissioner Grau?
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my portion of policy and procedure, and I yield the floor to new business with President Leduc.
Does anyone have any new business? All right.
Do we have a report on pickleball this week?
I'm sorry, we don't. I was out of town.
All right, well, in that case, I guess I move to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners.
Second.
Can we have a voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That passes. Adjourn meeting